They interviewed her, and she says, you know what?
I can share this with you. An executive from his organization ends up in my office, unannounced, in my office saying, will you help me? I'm not part of it.
For years, the world has watched Beyoncé build an empire, meticulously crafting not just music, but an entire cultural phenomenon. Every album, every appearance, every silence calculated to perfection. But beneath that flawless execution lies a darker truth that fans refuse to acknowledge. The signs were there all along, in her lyrics, her increasingly limited interviews, the way she disappeared from public view for months at a time. The street is saying this wasn't just about privacy or creative control. It was about hiding something far more troubling. What if the image of Queen Bey, the unstoppable force, the cultural icon, the perfectionist who never breaks, was actually a carefully constructed shield against a reality she could no longer contain? Born in Houston, Texas in 1981, Beyoncé Giselle Knowles showed remarkable talent from an early age. By 8, she was already performing, her father Matthew Knowles positioning her for stardom with a relentlessness that would define her early career. The creation of Destiny's Child in 1990 wasn't just luck. It was orchestrated, managed, and pushed forward by her father with an intensity that industry insiders describe as unusually demanding. Records show Beyoncé was training 5 to 6 hours daily by age 12, a regimen that intensified as success grew. According to former dancers who worked with the young star, her father would often say, "There's no room for second place." When Destiny's Child achieved their breakthrough with No 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 in 1997, Beyoncé was just 16. While other teenagers were finishing high school, she was already locked into grueling tour schedules, media training, and the crushing pressure of maintaining an image. By 2003, when she launched her solo career with Dangerously in Love, the machinery was fully operational. Her schedule, reportedly managed down to 15-minute increments, left little room for anything resembling a normal life. Former team members have alleged that even meals and sleep were scheduled around productivity. The cracks began showing subtly: hoarseness during performances in 2005, a canceled show in 2007 cited as exhaustion, and according to 3 former staff members who spoke on condition of anonymity, increasingly strict control over any documentation of her time off stage. That's not how a career ascends. That's how a prison is built. December 2017, the incident no one could ignore. During her performance at Tidal's benefit concert, something changed. Mid-song, Beyoncé faltered. For 3.7 seconds, an eternity on stage for someone known for perfection, she froze. The cameras caught what appeared to be confusion, perhaps even pain, before she recovered seamlessly. Official statements claimed a minor technical issue with her in-ear monitor, but insiders present that night tell a different story. According to a sound engineer who was backstage, there was no technical malfunction. What the audience witnessed was entirely physical. "I saw her face on the monitor," the source revealed. "That wasn't confusion. That was panic." Within hours, all footage of the moment had been systematically removed from social media platforms. Requests for comment were met with silence or redirected to statements about her flawless performance. The incident was scrubbed from public memory almost as quickly as it happened, but some questions cannot be erased. Why did her tour schedule suddenly reorganize afterward, creating unusual 3-day gaps between performances? Why did 3 members of her medical team reportedly sign new, more restrictive NDAs in January 2018? And why did her choreography subtly change in the following months, eliminating specific movements that had been signatures in her performances? That's not a glitch, that's a warning sign being buried. After the incident, Beyoncé's already limited public appearances became even rarer. Interviews, once merely uncommon, became nearly extinct. When she did speak publicly, it was through carefully curated social media posts or meticulously controlled environments where questions were pre-approved. March 2018 saw the launch of her second joint tour with Jay-Z, On the Run 2. Critics praised her remarkable stamina and precision, but those who had followed her career closely noted something different. Her performances, while technically flawless, had changed subtly. According to a choreographer who had worked with her previously, The movements were modified, still incredible, but designed to conserve energy in ways the average viewer would never notice. The street is saying those changes weren't artistic choices, they were necessities. Her team expertly spun the narrative. Each limited appearance became an event. Each controlled interview celebrated as rare insight rather than questioned for its restrictions. Her silence was reframed as mystery, her absence as exclusivity. When Homecoming released in April of 2019, viewers were captivated by the behind-the-scenes glimpses of her preparation for Coachella. What many missed were the carefully edited moments showing medical staff always present, or the revelations about extreme dietary restrictions that she herself called limiting. Even more telling was what remained unsaid: the specific details about her physical health during that period, the nature of the unexpected complications mentioned only briefly, and the extensive medical team visible in background shots but never acknowledged. "You're seeing exactly what you're meant to see," revealed a former editor who worked on the documentary. "Everything else stays on the cutting room floor." Receipt number 1. August 2018, Vogue's September issue. Beyoncé writes her own cover story rather than sitting for an interview. In it, she mentions complications during her pregnancy with twins Rumi and Sir, revealing she had been on bed rest for over a month and underwent an emergency C-section. She writes, "My health and my baby's health were in danger." Yet she provides no specific details about the nature of these complications or their lasting effects. Why would someone so private suddenly share this medical information, only to immediately create boundaries around further discussion? Receipt number 2. The lyrics of Bigger from The Lion King, The Gift, 2019. Beyoncé sings, "Life is your birthright. They hid that in the fine print. Take the pen and rewrite it. Step out your estimate." According to music critics and former collaborators, these weren't just inspirational platitudes, but references to her own battles with health expectations and limitations. Was she telling us something about defying medical prognoses? Receipt 3. January 2020 Elle interview. When asked about failure, Beyoncé responds, "I've been through hell and back." She adds, "I'm grateful for every scar." The interviewer notes these comments came unprompted when discussing physical challenges, not career obstacles. What scars was she referring to, both literal and metaphorical? Receipt number 4. The unexplained cancellation of her scheduled appearance at the 2021 Grammy Awards. While her team cited scheduling conflicts, insiders noted she was already in Los Angeles the day before and had been expected to perform. According to a production assistant who requested anonymity, everything was ready. The stage, the dancers, everything. Then overnight it was called off. What happened in those crucial hours? Receipt number 5. Her 2022 British Vogue cover interview, where the journalist notes, "Beyoncé's face tightens just slightly when I broach the subject of the intensive training regimen for Renaissance." The article then immediately pivots to another topic. What question was deflected? What answer was avoided? Receipt number 6. The Renaissance Tour's rigorous medical protocols. According to 3 separate crew members, the 2023 tour maintained unprecedented health and medical infrastructure, with specialized staff available at all hours and equipment that traveled separately from the main production. Why would a performer at the height of her career need such extensive medical support? The Renaissance Tour marked a turning point. For 56 shows across 3 continents, Beyoncé performed with her trademark perfection. But something was different. The controlled environment around her intensified. Medical staff were more visible. Recovery periods between shows lengthened. According to venue staff in 3 different cities, specific temperature requirements for her areas backstage became non-negotiable. After the final show in Kansas City on October 1st, 2023, Beyoncé didn't just go quiet. She disappeared completely from public view for 72 days. No social media posts, no appearances, no sightings. Even by her private standards, this was unprecedented. When she re-emerged in December, she looked flawless as always at the premiere of the Renaissance film. But those who study body language noted she leaned on Jay-Z more frequently. Her movements, while graceful, were more measured, more precise. Former choreographer Marcus Johnson observed, She's adapting, modifying, making micro adjustments that the average person would never notice. The film itself revealed more than perhaps intended. Unlike previous concert films that focused primarily on performances, Renaissance included brief, almost fleeting moments of vulnerability. A wince barely visible before a smile returns. A longer than usual water break. A moment in her dressing room where she closes her eyes and takes 3 deep breaths before returning to her public persona. Industry insiders pointed to the film's editing choices. "You never see her getting up from a seated position," noted a director who's worked on similar projects. "Those transitions are always cut. That's deliberate." Her social media, once filled with dance rehearsals and physically demanding performances, shifted subtly towards still images, fashion moments, and carefully composed tableau. That's not an artistic evolution. That's a physical necessity disguised as a creative choice. Mainstream theory. Beyoncé, approaching her mid-40s, is simply preserving her energy and focusing on longevity. According to entertainment analyst Roberta Williams, every artist eventually adapts their performance style. She's being smart about sustaining her career for decades to come. This theory suggests her limited public appearances, controlled environments, and increasingly private lifestyle are simply the choices of an established artist who no longer needs to prove herself. Supporters point to other legends like Madonna or Janet Jackson, who also modified their performances over time. Operational theory. Beyoncé is strategically shifting away from physically demanding performances toward other business ventures. Documents filed with the U.S. Patent Office show she's registered numerous trademarks in recent years spanning fashion, wellness products, and digital enterprises. Industry consultants suggest this isn't just diversification, but preparation for a new phase where her brand can thrive without requiring her physical presence. She's building an empire that doesn't depend on her body, claims marketing expert Thomas Reynolds. Speculative theory. According to sources close to her medical team, Beyoncé has been managing a progressive condition that affects her stamina and mobility. While the exact nature remains private, these insiders suggest it began manifesting around 2017 and has required increasingly careful management. Medical professionals not associated with her care have observed that her adaptations align with those typically made for certain autoimmune conditions. Dr. Elena Marquez, who specializes in performance medicine but has never treated Beyoncé, notes, "The pattern of high-intensity activity followed by extended recovery periods is consistent with managing chronic inflammatory responses." Former dancer Alicia Torres, who performed with Beyoncé between 2013-2016, has stated, "The level of physical output required was superhuman then. I can't imagine maintaining that for another decade without consequence." Behind the perfectly curated Instagram posts and flawless performances lies a woman fighting a battle that extends far beyond music. According to those who have worked closely with her, Beyoncé's legendary perfectionism isn't just about artistic excellence. It's about control in a life where physical limitations threaten to impose their own boundaries. "There's this moment," recalls a former backup dancer, "when the cameras are off, the lights go down, and you see it in her eyes. The exhaustion, the determination, the fear. Then someone says 5 minutes and it's gone. The mask is back up." The toll isn't just physical. Sources close to her family describe the emotional weight of maintaining an image built on strength, power, and seemingly limitless energy when your body begins enforcing its own limits. "She doesn't know how to be anything but exceptional," one confidant shared. "The idea of being seen as diminished in any way is unacceptable to her." This struggle occurs against the backdrop of an industry and culture that has consistently devalued Black women once they're no longer seen as at their physical peak. For Beyoncé, showing vulnerability isn't just personal, it carries the weight of cultural expectations she's navigated her entire career. Perhaps most poignantly, her children are growing up watching their mother battle these unseen challenges. Blue Ivy, who joined her mother on stage during the Renaissance tour, witnessed firsthand the complex reality behind the performances. According to a tour staff member, there were nights when Blue would just sit with her mom in silence, holding her hand during recovery periods. In these quiet moments, away from the roar of the crowd, the true cost of iconic status reveals itself. Not in failed performances or public stumbles, Beyoncé has permitted none of those, but in the private struggle to reconcile physical reality with the superhuman expectations she herself has helped create. As of September 2025, Beyoncé has officially announced a new visual album titled Transcendence, scheduled for release in November. The announcement came with a striking image, Beyoncé seated on a throne-like chair rather than in her typical dynamic poses. Industry observers noted the project appears to focus on visual storytelling and vocal performance rather than the dance-heavy productions of previous eras. Her recent interview with the New York Times, her first major print interview in nearly 7 years, carefully addressed questions about her future. "I'm evolving," she stated. "My art is evolving. The way I share it with the world is evolving." When asked directly about whether she plans to tour again, she responded with characteristic control. "I'll always find ways to connect with my audience, but those ways will continue to transform." Her production company, Parkwood Entertainment, has expanded significantly, now developing projects for multiple artists and film ventures that don't necessarily require her performance involvement. According to business filings, she has also increased investments in health technology companies specializing in regenerative medicine and chronic condition management. The Renaissance film, released in December 2023, continues to be her last major project, featuring her full performance capacity. No tour dates have been announced for Transcendence, with her team indicating the project will reach audiences through different channels. Former Columbia Records executive Michael Torres observes, "She's rewriting the rules again, creating a new template for what a legacy artist can be in this era. If she's facing challenges, she's turning them into opportunities with characteristic strategic brilliance." What remains unaddressed is whether this evolution is by choice or necessity, a question her carefully constructed public image ensures remains unanswerable. As Beyoncé continues her transformation from unstoppable physical performer to something more ethereal, more curated, and perhaps more sustainable, we're left with the question that haunts every frame of her recent work. Is this the evolution of an artist in control, or the adaptation of a woman who refuses to be defined by limitations she never publicly acknowledged? That's not just career strategy, that's survival. For a woman who built an empire on the image of limitless power, admitting any boundary would reshape everything. But perhaps that's exactly what she's been telling us all along, through her art, through her careful curation, through the spaces between performances where truth often lives. If you believe Beyoncé is simply evolving as an artist, taking control of her narrative on her own terms, drop your thoughts below. But if you've noticed the patterns we've outlined, the subtle shifts in her presentation, the carefully managed appearances, share what you've observed. And if you want a deeper investigation into other icons facing similar hidden battles, hit like and subscribe.